I think this stock could be a $200 stock by end of the year.
It's a stock filled with nostalgia for many investors.
As you can see, I got my Hogan Macho Man, I got my Hogan cards all in the background.
But for years, the company behind WWE was stagnant.
From kind of doing nothing for so many years to really getting that mainstream attention.
Lance Ippolito with Trading Pub shares why more investors all over the world are jumping at a chance to own a piece of this fan favorite sport.
If you turn on Netflix on Monday night, their top show is Monday Night Raw.
Lance, so great to have you back on the channel today to talk about one of your favorite companies and one that's had some really big news recently.
Yes, it is probably my favorite public company in the whole entire world. It is World Wrestling Entertainment, now known as a public company under TKO.
Yeah, this is a company we have not talked about on MarketBeat yet, so it's a first time for some of our viewers to be talking about this. But this stock has had some really big moves, big enough to get it into the S&P 500 just very recently.
It was March 24th. They got added to the S&P 500. So long gone are the days of cheap beer and wrestling in the trailer park in Tennessee. It is now a mainstream on Netflix global company that is not just pro wrestling and World Wrestling Entertainment, it's also professional bull riding, but also the UFC, which is kind of the king of combat sports. It's really taken over. I would say this last decade, it became so popular around the world.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the catalyst in moving this stock price because this company, it's been around forever. We all probably have some nostalgic stories of watching WWE at some point in our lives, but this stock really didn't do anything for years until the last couple of years when things really started to take off.
Yeah, so there was some scandals with their prior CEO, Vince McMahon. He had, we'll say, allegations, and he was the CEO for many years, and it was known within the company, he was going to kind of die on the helm. He loved the business. It was his dad's company. He bought it out, and he was the mastermind and kind of the crazy old man behind it. Well, since those allegations came out, he was forced to step down. He had to sell his shares, and Endeavor Group, head by Ariel Emanuel, which is the popular gentleman behind the series Entourage. After Ari, it was modeled after him. He came in, Endeavor Group and Zuffa Entertainment, which was the owner of the UFC. They all came together to create this juggernaut, which is now TKO. And that was really the main catalyst that made the stock jump from kind of doing nothing for so many years to really getting that mainstream attention. I remember the Wall Street Journal was posting about the stories almost every single week with the new management and getting Vince McMahon out of there. And that really opened the doors to now, if you turn on Netflix on Monday night, their top show is Monday Night Raw. So it's no longer, like I said, just kind of the kids and the trailer park beer drinking people watching wrestling. It's all over the world and on Netflix. And apparently, from my inside hearings, it's getting around 6 to 7 million views each week, just the Monday Night Raw programming.
Talk about a comeback. I remember being a kid and Monday Night Raw being a thing on old broadcast TV, but this is really making a comeback. And I'm sure some of those investors who are fans like yourself are contributing to the rise in stock price, but it's not just fans who are investing in this company right now. There's really international attention on this brand.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the biggest jumps that we've seen recently. The Saudis in Saudi Arabia, they want sports. Netflix wanted sports. They got wrestling, which was a huge jump. But there's a big demand for live sports. Now, the Saudis, they can't go and buy the Green Bay Packers or the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Yankees. But what they can do is get a part of combat sports. Now, we've seen WWE and UFC sign multi-year deals, and I've heard within the billions and billions, to start doing shows for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And with the Saudi investment fund being so hungry, now there's even rumors that they want to get involved in Tesla, so hungry for live sports. Just the other week, they announced a professional boxing league to come about in the TKO under the umbrella out there, because let's be honest, kind of American boxing has been kind of dead for years or so. So they want to revamp that, and they're hungry for sports. They're hungry for male soap operas, for storylines, for the professional wrestling. But you also have real fighting in UFC, so it's kind of the best of both worlds out there, which I think is only going to add to growth over these next few years.
Yeah, I want to get to that growth in a minute, but first I want to talk about maybe some of that risk with this company that you just mentioned, and that's the male soap opera-ness of the sport. Are there different announcements and news events and things that happen in this industry that could have some pretty strong swings coming for the stock?
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the most recent catalyst that we have upcoming is WrestleMania. That's April 19th and April 20th. They started just the other year making it 2 nights. So that's double the revenue, double the merchandise, double the ticket sales, and double the eyeballs, which was really, really smart. Think of the Super Bowl for 2 days. That would be huge. So that historically leading up to WrestleMania, because of the hype, is usually one of the most bullish times of the year for the stock. After WrestleMania, it kind of cools off a little bit because you have your big peak of storylines and such. But that is one big catalyst that is going to drive the stock normally higher into that event. But also, you have Dwayne Johnson, better known as The Rock, now as a character, an on-air character with the company, who's arguably one of the most popular people in the world, and he's actually on the board of directors of the company. So he wants it to succeed. His daughter is the general manager of their show NXT, so she's involved with the family. It's all over the place. You still have some of their other shows that are on regular cable, where there's been rumors that Netflix and other big networks want them, so they will pay up. So you always have kind of those contract renewals with media rights as a big catalyst for the company too. And I just think really expansion, Saudi Arabia, India, Japan, China. They're just on a European tour right now and selling out shows all over, and even 20,000 people stadium. WrestleMania should be around 70,000 people a day. It's pretty massive, not just with grown men like myself, or the teens and the youth, but also the ladies. And I would argue that some of the female wrestlers are getting more eyeballs than the men. And just like what we see with UFC, with Ronda Rousey really putting females on top, it's a big draw that 5, 10 years ago just wasn't really happening.
All so interesting. A lot of details about the company and why there's so many catalysts for future growth. But for those investors who maybe hadn't considered this stock before, or maybe just new to even looking at this, let's look at the chart a little bit and the technical indicators of when would be a good time to get into this stock for new investors to TKO.
So, like I mentioned before, usually we do have a run up into WrestleMania, which is April 19th and April 20th. The stock is right around 150 and change right now. The high was just shy of 180, I believe 179. So the stock normally, and what I love about it's not correlated with the S&P or the Nasdaq, like your Apple, your Microsoft will be. It just got added to the S&P, but it can be a honey badger. I mean, it could beat to its own drum. If the market's going down or sideways, it can still go up. If the market's going up, it can still go up. That's what I really love about it. So usually you have these periods of sideways, or kind of, I think of it as a spring where it just contracts, and then it usually takes one of these big news announcements to get that spring to expand, where you have the stock start moving up. So if we start taking out that 179, 180 high, let's just say give or take a little over 10% higher than where we're moving. I mean, I think this stock can be a $200 stock by end of the year. And I don't think that's crazy to say, given we have WrestleMania upcoming, given the growth we have upcoming, and really the popularity that we've seen in professional wrestling, specifically the WWE, over this last 6 to 12 months, I mean, it's exploding in popularity like I haven't seen since, the Attitude Era when I was 13, 14 years old.
I think a lot of people watching this are probably getting that nostalgia right now. I want to talk last thing about your specialty, and that's options trading. I know you look at maybe more stocks that have more volatility usually on a daily basis, but how about this stock when it comes to options?
Right. So it's not the Tesla, Nvidia trading millions of option contracts a day like most people think of. Usually it moves 4 times a year, earnings, like most stocks, but also we do have seasonality in terms of leading up to WrestleMania. Could be a media rights deal like they have with Netflix, getting on Netflix, these news catalysts. So I look almost every day for order flow and TKO. But like I said, it doesn't trade, tens of thousands or millions of option contracts a day usually. So I try to get very, very specific in the timing of it. So like leading up to WrestleMania, as we start approaching March or April, I should say, to that date, I like to go out usually anywhere between 30 to 60 days, so a month to 2 months out, play a directional call option, usually right at the money or one or two strikes out the money, and then look for that move higher. Because I know that it's not so volatile, so the options aren't going to be crazy moving, which I like. And I know that there's a set catalyst event that's going to happen in the future, which can affect the underlying price. And if are looking for an entry point to get into position, you can always get in with the option instead of having to spend $150 per share of the stock by doing in the money or deep in the money call options and playing it that way as well.
Well, if you like the way that Lance explains things, which I think he's great, you can check out his free report on how to trade options with Tesla. Give us a little preview of what to expect with that.
Yeah, so Tesla is the big dog, the king of momentum stocks, trades a million options a day. So all I look to do is take advantage each week in Tesla with one trade on a set date and time. I'll give you a little spoiler. It's Thursday afternoon every week. And I like to look for either a bullish if we're above this one line, which we'll get into in the report, and look to trade it every single week. Now, I don't go out 30 to 60 days with Tesla because the options are expensive. So what I look to do is play the very, very short-term options, look for good risk versus reward, and do that every single week in Tesla because it's so volatile, but volatility brings opportunity to an option trader like myself.
Wonderful. Well, if you want to get that free report to learn more about his strategy with trading Tesla options, scan the QR code or click the link in the description of this video to get that free report from Lance right now. Lance, thanks again for all of your time today and introducing some of our viewers to TKO. It's been a great conversation.
Well, thank you. I usually don't get to talk about professional wrestling with everyone, so I'm so glad we had the conversation today. And as you can see, I got my Hogan Macho Man, I got my Hogan cards all in the background. I'm a big fan, a big investor too. My whole 401k is Tesla and TKO, I feel like. So really, really big fans of the product.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lance. Let us know what you think. Are you excited about this, learning about this new stock? Have you already been in it for a while? Or are you having your interest piqued by watching this video? We'd love to know what you think. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And as always, happy investing.